We've all struggled. Well, if you have a halfway decent personality, you've struggled. And necessity being the mother of invention, often interesting things come out of the need to make it work with what you got. So we asked you, what are your favorite struggle meals of past and present? And you answered the call. Over 3,000 submissions of your preferred struggle meals. So I want to try it out. I want to see what you guys are eating when you got to make do with what you got. And then we're going to share a couple struggle meals of our own from our past, or things that we just dreamt up that you might want to try the next time shit sucks. Let's get started. All right, first off, we have Egg Rice by Mike C. And I say Mike because they put 3 I's in there. Crack 3 eggs into a bowl. I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt to the eggs. Beat these guys up. Nice and smooth. I'm gonna oil up my very tiniest pan. Add our eggs to our tiny, tiny little pan. They were specified to be scrambled. They didn't say how scrambled in what way, so I'm gonna do things my way, because it's my way or the highway. Kinda wanna prepare this like omurice. Basically, I'm looking for the eggs to be almost done. Almost a little too runny. Looks pretty nice. Just gonna kinda let it sit over very low heat, cover it up, and just let it cook for a bit. I'm trying to make a cooked shell on the bottom so that I can flip it over, slice it open like an omurice. We got some microwave white rice, some sushi rice in this case. Oh, how pretty. It's gonna be a perfect platform for our patty of poultry. Let's see if I can invert it without inflicting disaster. Say your prayers, brush your teeth. Bam. So then they specify some furikake rice seasoning, and of course, a drizzle of sriracha. And there you have it. Mike C's egg rice. That was easy. It's not omurice, but we do have some nice custardy soft eggs underneath this scrambled egg. So then it does specify to mix it up and eat. Here we go. And it's delicious. You got some runny egg in there, being all runny egg about things. Then the furikake is just a lovely, very subtle seasoning of sesame seeds and seaweed. Very basic seasoning, adds a whole lot of personality though. You're getting good protein, you're getting good carbohydrates. Eggs being, while way more expensive than they've ever been, still one of the cheaper proteins. Excellent use case. So in terms of ease of preparation, inexpensiveness, customizability, and just general deliciousness, give it an 8. It's like essential. And it can be yours for apparently $2.50, depending on where this dude lives. Great. All right, next up we have Shin hot dog fried rice from Rob M17. It's basic egg fried rice with sliced hot dogs and Shin ramen seasoning. Chop half a can of hot dogs. In England, hot dogs come in cans. They're not talking about Vienna sausages. This is about the only canned hot dog option we have on this side of the pond is Vienna sausages. So that's what we're gonna use. All right, half a can. Ew. Wow, they're so soft. I think I'm gonna sear the shit out of these, get them nice and crispy. All right, we also have some microwavable white rice here. I think this is gonna be fine to just throw in as though it were leftover white rice, the ideal medium for fried rice. And they said if you're feeling fancy, add some soy sauce and vegetables. We figured just some frozen peas, carrots, and corn, perfect accompaniment. And it's only a tiny little bit of a $1 bag, so this is a great addition. Get my eggs cracked and whisked. Get that Shin ramen packet, and why not the vegetable mix? What could possibly go wrong? Tiny whisk that together. And might as well use the same T-whisk to beat our eggs. Good enough. I'm gonna throw down a little bit of vegetable oil. I'm going to add our sliced Vienna sausages. And add our vegetables so they start defrosting, maybe even get a little color themselves. Some nice browning on those sausages. Time to add our rice. And this rice, it's microwave rice, so it's only par cooked. But we are adding water to this pan. It's gonna get, cooked the rest of the way, and I do think it'll soften up. If it doesn't, it's my fault. Plop that in there. If you were making this yourself, you could make some rice and do the actual fried rice thing, which is make it, cool it, put it in the fridge. Leftover rice is the ideal. While we're still nice and hot, while we still got some fat in the pan, and introduce the eggs into the situation. Basically, you're looking to make a little scrambled egg that will then spread out with the rest of the dish. And now, We're gonna add our seasoning packet, a little bit of water there. I'm gonna add a little bit of soy sauce too, because they said to add it if you're feeling fancy, and I just so happen to be. Keep things moving so it doesn't stick, but it's also a non-stick pan, so normally something you wouldn't necessarily want to use for fried rice, but luckily these are Babish pans and you can push them to 550 degrees Fahrenheit. And there you have it, Shin hot dog fried rice. Now I definitely was skeptical. I mean, I think anybody would be if they saw hot dog fried rice. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly good. It's spicy. Why? How? Is Shin ramen spicy?
Spicy, yeah.
Okay, so it's spicy. I don't care. It's good and spicy. It tastes like, you know, the flavor profile of ramen, but in a fried rice context. So it plays a little bit of a trick with your mind, but in a really fun way. And the hot dogs don't bother me at all. Like I was really just wanting to survive the hot dogs, but they actually work pretty well. We're talking about smoky pork. If I'm ever gonna eat Vienna sausages, this is how I'm gonna do it. This is the essence of what a struggle meal is, making do with what you got. Presumably you got some canned sausages, you got some ramen, you got some rice. Make it work together. This is an excellent example. I don't like it as much as the egg rice, but I really admire the gumption of this one, and it does taste quite good in a very stony or drunk way, impaired way. And so I'm gonna give it a 7. I enjoy it. Next we have Ass Risotto by Jade Kyoto. Doesn't sound great, but let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Now, as for all the stock that we're using today, stock is an expensive item, not something I would normally recommend for a struggle meal, but I really recommend getting some of this stuff, better than bouillon. This is $5-6, and it makes 38 cups of stock. And it's not bad. Like, it tastes like actual chicken. I think it's better than box stock, personally. So this rice calls for a 2-to-1 cooking ratio, 2 cups of liquid, 1 cup of rice. I'm gonna do a little bit more than that just because I want there to be leftover liquid full of starch. I am specifically not washing the rice. I don't wanna rinse off the excess starch because it will help make things creamy. You do wanna give it an initial stir, but then we're gonna do 2 things. We're going to not touch this until we're ready to eat it, or turn it into carbonara, and we're gonna let it rest for almost as long as we let it cook. So this guy's gonna go for 15 minutes, then we're gonna let it sit for 15 minutes. That is essential in making rice cooked correctly. It took me many moons to figure that one out. All right, our rice is cooked and rested. It's nice and hot, which is what we need because we need carryover heat to melt some Parmesan cheese. I'll throw some salt in there. Risotto loves pepper. I don't think this was specified in the recipe, but what are they gonna do? And now, kind of just like a carbonara, it's got me a little nervous that I'm gonna scramble this egg, but I'm gonna add this 1 beaten egg, keep things moving, and God willing, we'll have something edible. I'm gonna add a little bit of water because things are looking a little dry and we want this to be thick and creamy, not unlike a risotto, but a ass risotto. That doesn't not look like risotto. I mean, it's the wrong rice, but it's thick and gloopy. Give it a little taste for seasoning before we go too deep here. Hey, I challenge you to find an Italian that can tell the difference. We secretly switched these Italians' risotto with Folgers coffee. Let's see if they can tell the difference. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more Parmesan and definitely some more pepper just for looks, really. And let's give it a try. I wouldn't call that ass risotto, Jade Kyoto. It's not risotto, you can tell from the rice, it's too tender, it's not the right consistency. It should have a little bit of chew, a little al dente to it. But the gooey texture of the sauce, the egg really makes things creamy. If you add it quickly, in the same way that a carbonara is creamy, the egg makes it creamy. I can't believe that you can do that without stirring. We're making a risotto here without stirring. It's got me wondering what I can do with arborio rice, making a risotto without stirring. It's delicious. There's nothing bad about this. I'm inclined to give it a 9. I never would have thought, basically do the carbonara method to make a creamy risotto. That's actually pretty inspired. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 9. This is thinking outside the box. This is the kind of invention that comes from necessity. If you were, trying to make a quick, easy, filling meal with all you got is rice and Parmesan cheese and an egg, this is a really interesting way to go. Like, I am down. Great job, Jade Kyoto. Next up we have Marm-eans on toast by Big Dave, who's apparently British, because this is about the most British thing I've ever heard of. It has some interesting elements here. This is basically beans on toast with extra cheese, and they're putting some Marmite in the baked beans. And we went for the Heinz beans and tomato sauce. It's about as British as you can get. So I'm heating this up, and I'm gonna add some Marmite to it. I'm actually pretty stoked on this, because I'm not crazy about Marmite on its own, but as an ingredient, very exciting. Ooh, it's making them dark and glossy. I like this. Got some toast, drippy oil butter. We're baking it with cheese, topping it with beans, then topping that with cheese. This is weird, putting a slice of bread inside of an air fryer with cheese on top of it. I'll say it, it's strange. And boom goes the dynamite. Oh yeah, that is some melted cheese on some bread. Oh, come here, little guy. Big British Dave specified pre-shredded cheese. I wouldn't recommend this for two reasons. First off, you end up with this when you melt pre-shredded cheese. The shreds almost keep their identity instead of becoming one singularity. And also because getting your own block of cheddar and shredding it is cheaper. You know what, folks? It depends on the struggle. If time is your struggle, then I get it. If money is your struggle, I don't get it. The British are such a interesting culinary populace. They also specified to top with a bit more shredded cheese. Something about unmelted cheese is about as struggle meal as the day is long. Last but not least, a good sprinkle of spicy chili flakes. That's pretty good. I never disliked beans on toast, but I never like sought it out either. It was never a thing for me. Far too foreign a concept. The Marmite just amps up the umami. It brings a whole bunch of basically MSG, like it's just adding a ton of savory, unctuous flavor. And the cheese is cheese. And the bread is toast. So, I don't know, there's not much to be mad at here. It's tasty. It's definitely not like doing anything special for me, but I think if you were a beans on toast kind of person, this would do something for you. This would get you, this would get some ants in your pants a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 6 personally because I'm not a big beans on toast guy, but I would give normal beans on toast a 3. It's really only a struggle meal if you're in the UK, because who the hell is making struggle meals with Marmite here in the States? That's a specialty ingredient over here. That's a huge improvement on beans on toast. Good job, Big Dave. Now we have Not Quite Chili by Tongues. It's tongues with 2 U's. There's a lot of abuse of the alphabet here today. So we've got our cup of lentils cooked until mush. Now I'm gonna add 1 can of chopped tomatoes. Per instructions, more garlic and onion seasoning than I would think I would need. I'm adding what I think is too much. Doing that for you, Tongues. And adobo seasoning. That doesn't look terribly appetizing, if I'm being honest. And there we have it. Not quite chili. An assessment that I would agree with. But let's throw some cottage cheese on there, just to really get there. Well, it's healthy, I'll tell you that much. You eat this whole bowl, and it would look just like this coming back out, but it'd be very healthy. It's not bad. Like, it tastes a little dystopian, like this is nutrition paste with flavor. Now with flavor. You know, I don't like cottage cheese very much, but I don't know that this is cottage cheese in this context. It's just this goop on top that it kind of has a sour cream effect. The adobo seasoning is actually the best part. I think that brings some unique flavor that isn't just spice rack. I think if you did something about the color and maybe making it spicy, you'd be looking at a 6 or a 7. I'm gonna give it a 5 as it is, just because I really don't like looking at it. I do wish the lentils weren't overcooked. I think you can just cook them normal. And the cottage cheese, this is the most I have ever tolerated cottage cheese. Thank you for making me lactose tolerant, so to speak. Didn't even write that beforehand. That just came out of my head. All right, next up we have Gochujang Dahl from Izzy. It's just my name. I don't care if you just use my first name. It's an interesting name. All right, so let's get started. Let's fry up our aromatics. This is the first one where you're like frying aromatics. So We're definitely on the less struggly end of struggle meals here, but it might be a timing thing, and it might be just like, here's how you get some fiber, some protein, and use up the stuff in the fridge. Finely chopped scallion, just the whites, 2 cloves of crushed garlic, some pickled pears, rinsed red lentils. Let these get a little toasted up. Now we're gonna cover them. We're gonna add a huge scoop of gochujang. Tons of flavor, tons of spice. We got some frozen veggies here for bonus points. Soy sauce and ketchup to taste. And now we're gonna let this cook until it is mush, basically. The dish of dal, in my mind, is more like a soup. So I want this to be soup-esque, but you can, live your life however you want. Just, don't listen to me. And after about a half-hour cook, we end up with something resembling dal, or at least the soup version of it. So we're garnishing with some sour cream or fat-free yogurt. Fresh vegetables, not usually something I think of with a struggle meal. But that being said, I remember when I was struggling, there was a vegetable market near me that had all this about to be rotten produce, like 2 days left of solvency, and it would be cheap as free. So, you never know what you're gonna come across, and if you come across some fresh produce, find interesting ways to use it. Some of our scallion greens. Gochujang Dahl. Let's see what's happening here. It's got the flavor of a spicy chicken nugget. I don't know why, but there we are. I was supposed to finish with a little bit of acid, so let's just drizzle some of this here. Jalapeno pickling liquid over top. It really needs that hit of acid. That actually really helps. Like, that brings a kind of just different facet to it. So there's more layered flavors, and I think it's too spicy. Like, it's just generally spicy. It's not like it's too spicy. It's that all I taste is just spicy. That's it. I am missing the flavor profile of an Indian dal. There's there's some cumin in there. They put a nice roasted chili in there usually. It's a simpler flavor, but I prefer it. All that to be said, if you want a big bowl of something spicy, filling, hearty, nutritious, and that uses up stuff you might have in the fridge, this is a great option. This is a tasty use of staple ingredients. That being said, it's not something I'd want to make again, so I think I'm gonna give it a 6, because it's better than it needed to be. It's not doing anything where it's like, oh, damn, this worked out. It's just like, oh, damn, this worked out. All right, next up from Matt Farah, we have a spicy peanut ramen. I'm gonna start by combining all the flavor agents. We got a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of toasted sesame oil. This stuff is strong, and you can always garnish with it later. Chili crisp, peanut butter and chili crisp. Yes, please. A not insignificant amount of that, because I love chili crisp. I'm gonna go pretty light on the garlic and onion powder, just because I have to assume there's already a fair amount of that in the ramen seasoning packet. It feels like putting hat on a hat here. Not mixing together in a way that I super like, but that's okay. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. All right, ramen noodles have been cooked. I'm gonna drain out all but a little bit of water before adding the sauce. Maybe like 2-ish tablespoons of water. This honestly is the one I'm most excited for. I really think this is going to spank, which hasn't caught on the way I hoped it would. Meanwhile, Raw Dog has climbed the charts of what all the kids say. Raw Dog this homework, Mom. And now I want it redder, I want it spicier. So I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more chili crisp, top it with some sliced scallions, and honestly the best looking bowl of instant ramen I think I've ever seen. Like, that looks great. Let's see if this is what the doctor told us not to eat. In other words, if it tastes good. I want some kind of sweetness. But other than that, this is dank. Using only condiments, you made ramen feel like a more complete food. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. So I think I'm gonna give it a 9. Like, I love it. It tastes so good. Every single element in here plays off the other and improves the dish overall. I love it. I'd eat this whole bowl right now if I didn't have other stuff to make and eat. Bacon Egg Fried Ramen by Parker Twombly on Instagram. I'm gonna fry up these bacon pieces, bits you might call them. You'll notice that I'm starting these off in a cold pan and that's to help the fat render out so that they cook a little bit more slowly but end up a little bit more uniformly crisp. We're gonna cook this bacon in butter for some reason. Beating up my egg, taking its lunch money. They said to put the seasoning packet in the egg, right?
I believe so. I'll double check. I wouldn't say to add it to the scrambled egg, but I like that.
Too late. That just became the saltiest egg on the planet. Now we're gonna add our noodles to our bacon butter. Now we have our seasoned egg. It didn't have really any instructions as to how this is ideally prepared, so I'm just gonna that seems right. That looks like a breakfast ramen to me. They said to add
A splash of olive oil.
I'm not gonna do that. There's so much fat in here, it's insane. That was so much sesame oil. Nice little bit of sriracha and some GG pow pow. All right, we got our sriracha, we got our garlic powder, and we have a ton of sesame oil. Fried bacon egg ramen, exactly what it sounds like, with some sriracha that you didn't expect. A little bit of everything. I mean, what, did we think this was gonna be bad? Bacon and sriracha and eggs. I will say, it's so greasy. There's so much fat in here. You got sesame oil, you have butter, and you have bacon fat. It's too much. If you're gonna make this, I would recommend don't put butter in there and drain off the bacon fat, keep a little bit in there. Because it tastes really good, but like, you know, when you eat something really greasy, your lips just, it's like you put, you know, strawberry lip gloss on. It's like this film that just covers you. That's happening to your inside too, and you're gonna feel it. And I already do. Mixed bag here. It tastes really good, needs some tweaks for ideal execution. I think if it weren't so greasy, I'd give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a 6 for greasiness. That's a first, and that's a promise. So last up we have the F off, I'm drunk. That was submitted by Call Me Nocturna. I don't know why they wouldn't just say Nocturna if that's what they want to be called. This one is very drunk indeed. The technique and the flavors are both unhinged. Let's see what happens. Should I be drunk? Excuse me. I'm making counterintuitive decisions. My blood sugar has both spiked and dropped somehow at the same time. Normally, I need junk food to soak up the alcohol. I've never needed alcohol to soak up the junk food. This is an appropriate tool for me to be using. This spatula is peak struggle years for me. I remember getting this at IKEA. I think this was like the only utensil I could afford. I could get a pot and this and like a pillow or something. Like I had no budget to get anything. And this guy has stuck with me for a long, long time. Fitting that I make this egg with it. Meanwhile, I already don't feel good about that. It was sweet and sour sauce and sriracha. No amounts specified. All right, so they specified adding a little bit of hot water to the bowl. So I'm just gonna use some of this runoff before adding the nudes. They then say to put a fried egg on top. Why? this one's got me wigged out. Kewpie mayo, sriracha.
Oh wait, no. Kewpie mayo, pepper jack cheese, and chili crisp. Wow.
Sriracha, I just decided we'll just lighten up on the chili crisp a little bit because that'll have the same effect-ish. And we have shredded pepper jack cheese on top. That's the thing I always thought ramen was missing was mayo and cheese. And there you have it, the aptly named F off. I'm drunk. I can't judge that, can I? I'm gonna mix it up, here we go. Chop the egg, get the egg, chop up the egg. Lightly pre-digested for you. I bet it's gonna taste good. I'm drunk. Spicy. Okay, to be fair, we use Shin ramen, which is a spicy ramen. God, that's spicy. And it also tastes like I was just punched in the face by my fridge door. And all the condiments flew out directly into my mouth. It tastes insane. It doesn't taste bad, but it also tastes insane. I think it's a little too much. I think you could lose any 2 things, pick 2, and you'd probably still have something worth eating, but like, this is too much. The texture's intense, the flavor's intense, the look is intense. Because it looks, you know, taking into account the fact that I have had so much insane food today, and I'm starting to not feel well. I still don't think I can rate this any higher than a 5 because it is truly something you do when you're drunk. When you're drunk, you do counterintuitive things. Like putting mayo on your ramen. It's aggressive. It's mean. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think that it's too much. I don't even know what to say. My brain's melting. What year was I born? All right, so it's the next day, if you couldn't tell by my very slightly different shirt. Very slight, no collar. That's the dead giveaway. Last night when I was in bed, I imagined Steve asking me an interesting question. If I could send some recipes back in time to my struggle self, what would they be? And I laid there in bed, nude of course, pondering what Steve had asked me. So I dreamed up a couple recipes that I think are in line with what we were making yesterday. That is a starch with a lot of flavorful sauces and some added nutritional benefit. I'm gonna do 1 lentil, 1 pasta, 1 rice. And then I'm gonna get sappy. Stick around. And all 3 of these recipes use a lot of overlapping ingredients. So with a minimal grocery shop and minimal pantry ingredients, you should be able to make all 3 of these for a ton of variety and flavor. So first up, I'm gonna make congee. This is a rice porridge that's as old as time. It's a great way to stretch rice. It's very easy to digest if you're sick. It's very comforting, and it's endlessly customizable. So I've got 4 cups of water to a ½ cup of rice. I'm not gonna rinse the rice because I want that extra starch in there to make it thick. Bring it to a simmer and hold it there until it's porridge. Simple as that. It's gonna take different amounts of time depending on what kind of rice you're using. Okay, congee's done. How do you know when it's done? When it looks like this. You could even thin it out more if you want. This is a nice thick congee. So to serve, we are piling it high and proud in a bowl. Ideally, you might want to use a wider bowl so that way your toppings are easier to eat with the rest of the congee. But in this case, just re-up with more toppings as you eat. We're just gonna make a really fully loaded congee. I had sauteed peppers and onions, crispy mushrooms. I got some bacon, and you know, just whatever else you can conjure up out of the fridge. A lot of struggle meals are just, what do we have in the fridge? How can I put it together? Congee is a great answer because you can put damn near anything savory on there. There you have it. Congee. Fully loaded, loaded for bear, armed and dangerous. I forgot to salt the congee. You're gonna wanna salt that congee. It's gonna be kind of like the toppings where you just season as you go. Eat our way down until there's nothing tasty left. And then start all over. It's a very simple, very economical base. Once again, it's very good if you're sick or if you need something, you know, very basic, but once you load it up with stuff, it turns into an actual hearty, flavorful, exciting meal. So, congee for your consideration. So now onto the subject of ketchup. Ketchup finds its way into a great many struggle meals because it's a prolific condiment, usually in the US. It's versatile and it's fun. So I'm going to take a page out of the Book of Japan and I'm going to make spaghetti Neopolitan. Bacon, vegetables, ketchup, spaghetti, garlic. It's delicious. And it comes together in less than 20 minutes. So to make spaghetti Neapolitan, we need 2 pans. I have a big one with heavily salted water coming to a boil here for the spaghetti. And then I have a non-stick pan to build the sauce and finish the pasta. I'm gonna start with 4 slices of bacon chopped into mouth-sized bits. Something else I'm gonna do. I'm gonna steal a little bit of water here. Normally when you cook bacon, you're frying it with direct heat. So the outside is gonna start to brown before all the fat is rendered out, which means that if you want to get it really crispy, you're in danger of burning it. By adding a little bit of water and letting the bacon poach, basically, for a few minutes, you're helping to render out the fat faster without browning. Once this water evaporates, you've got rendered fat ready to crisp things up without making anything rubbery or burnt. I'm using this thing to preserve as much fat as I can, but if you just fished it out with tongs, that'd be fine, a fork. Just be careful if it's a non-stick pan. Okay, so now we have all this beautiful bacon fat. It's a little bit too much. I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. I'm adding mushrooms. These are sliced baby bell mushrooms. Pretty cheap. This was a 1-pound package for like $2.50. As soon as they hit the pan, I'm tossing them around because mushrooms suck up fat like sponges. So I wanna make sure that everybody's getting an even dose of fat. And what we're gonna do here is just saute the mushrooms, and when we do that, you're gonna see an otherworldly amount of water exit these mushrooms. That basically needs to evaporate, cook off, so that then these mushrooms can sizzle in the fat. And I wanna get these not crispy or anything, but I just wanna get them some Maillard, some caramelization. All right, we got some Great browning on the mushrooms, so now I'm gonna start adding other veg. I'm gonna do some nice thin sliced onion, green bell pepper. Just wanna get a little color on these veg, soften them up a little bit, and then we're gonna build the sauce. Our veg is nearing completion, so I'm gonna add our sketty. Just like any self-respecting pasta, we're gonna finish the pasta in the sauce. I'm gonna start by adding some pasta water because I don't want the ketchup to burn when I add it. I'm adding about a third cup of pasta water, good glug of soy sauce, and about 2/3, 3/4 of a cup of ketchup. Mix that up. I've increased the heat a little bit under my sauce. I want to get things nice and sizzly. You can see some parts where it's a little thinner, they're caramelizing, getting bubbly. That's just gonna translate to some deeper, sweeter flavors. My pasta is about 1 minute undercooked. That's the time to add it. Way too thick. We're gonna thin that right the hell out. I'm actually gonna cover it up so that the pasta all sucks up water, because the stuff that's in the water is gonna suck it up and the stuff on top is just gonna sit there. And now I'm going to add the bacon back as it finishes cooking. Now I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of butter in a weird shape, black pepper, good sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. Now to serve, just gonna put a bunch in the bowl, and then I didn't taste it for seasoning. I said I was gonna do it, got a fork, and ADD'd my ass back to the Stone Age. And then we're gonna garnish with our bacon and some more Parmesan. And there you have it, spaghetti Neapolitan. This is a Japanese favorite. Let's give it a shot. Crispy bacon, rich sauce, spaghetti. Need I say more? It's great. It surprises you with how great it is. I get not keeping tomato sauce around as often as you have ketchup, so if that's all you got, here's how you want to do it. All right, next up, one that I'm pretty curious about, which is lentil sloppy joes, or as I'm gonna call them, sloppy jaspers. Sounds like a vegetarian, right? The idea of using lentils as a ground beef replacement, I've heard that it works almost in a 1-to-1 capacity where you just use it as though it were cooked ground beef. So I'm curious to see how it comes out, how it tastes, how it feels. Treating the mushrooms the same way I did with the Neapolitan pasta. We're gonna cook them first with a little bit of salt to draw out the moisture, get them to brown, then add everything else. I'm going to add some chopped onion, some more of that chopped green bell pepper. Saute those bad boys together. A little bit of cumin, chili powder, a little bit of garlic powder, and I'm just adding those to the dry pan so that they can toast for just like a second. Add some more chicken stock. I'm gonna add tablespoons worth of Worcestershire. The last of my ketchup. Nice squirt of barbecue sauce will do no harm. A little glug of hot sauce. I'm also going to add my chopped up bacon, because we're not trying to keep it crispy, we're just trying to get that flavor in there. And we're probably going to add some sugar of some kind as well. You could add honey, you could add brown sugar, molasses. I got some of this here blackstrap molasses. This is going to darken the color, which is going to be helpful once we add all these very light colored lentils. These lentils are a little overcooked, so they don't have as much of their structure as I would like, but they're still going to be good. All right. It's definitely pretty loose for sloppy joe mixture. So you might want to undercook the lentils by about 5 minutes, less than whatever the packaging says, so then it can finish cooking in the sauce. Whatever recipe we put on the website is going to reflect that. So if you follow that written recipe, should be all good. Now I've got my awaiting bun here to receive my slop. Also, why do we not put cheese on sloppy joes? I'm asking, why? And there we have it. Our kind of vegetarian, not really, our lentil sloppy joe. And this is one that is just going to cost you a fraction of the money to make, and it's going to be way healthier. There's a lot of fiber in this, there's protein in this. These are good carbs. It's a sloppy one, but hey, that's struggle meals for you. You overcook your lentils, you're not going to toss it and start again. You got to make it work with what you got. The flavor's there. It's for sure meaty. I think the texture is what gives it away. Not only is this overcooked, but also lentils are never gonna have the same texture as beef. Yeah, it's definitely not gonna pass for beef, but at the same time, it's tasty. It's really delicious, and it's better for you, and it's cheaper. So, ideal struggle meal gist, cook those lentils less before you add them to the sauce. Let them finish cooking in the sauce. And then you'll be the sloppiest kid on the block. So there you have it, 3 new recipes to add to your Rolodex of things to make when you gotta make it work. And this whole process had me thinking, what would I say if I could talk to myself when I was in the most challenging times of my life? And the answer might sound odd at first. Bake bread. Hear me out. So struggle takes many shapes. Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. You could be haunted by your past or terrified of your future, pressed for time, behind on rent, all the above. So suggesting that you bake bread at barely a nominal savings and at a huge cost of time is an odd proposition. But bread is not only an essential, it is essential. Its invention precipitated the growth and advancement of humankind, and in a much smaller way, it could precipitate yours. Everyone needs a hobby, and it's about as inexpensive and rewarding a hobby as you can imagine. And your growing fluency in its creation pays you back with better results than you'll find in the supermarket. Making something taste better is a small thing, but it's also the root goal of struggle meals, the effort of making basic ingredients into something worth eating. And for me, it changes the definition of struggle meal because, sure, a PB&J is a wonderful thing, but a PB&J on bread you baked yourself, it becomes suffused with meaning, purpose, personality. It's the thin, almost invisible line between struggling to survive and struggling so that you can grow. By no means is this a prescription or fix for a difficult situation, and it's an outlandish suggestion at that. But it's one I hope you consider, because at least in my case, it might have made my plain toast breakfast feel a little less empty. I hope you learned something new that you might want to try, and more than that, I hope you can find some joy amidst the struggle. Because somewhere, there's a future self that's looking back on you with gratitude for surviving, for making it work, for not giving up. I know I do.